Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Ignition Time. My name is Dr. Nitin Choda. In this episode of Ignition Time, I'm going to give you some new information about the impact of the American Rescue Plan on poverty in our country, on the children of our country who represent the future of our country. Now, this is a subject that's very close to my heart because I have a 5-year-old and I have a 2-year-old, and I grew up in a family where I knew what it was like to experience hunger. I knew what it was like to experience homelessness. That is part of my story. If you don't know anything about me, check out my video. You'll learn a little bit more about who I am, what my journey has been like, and why you should listen to me. Let's start with a tweet on your screen from President Biden. You'll see this tweet. The president says to Speaker Pelosi, Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, and everyone who voted for the American Rescue Plan, thank you. This is a historic victory for the American people. Now, I want our community, the Ignition Time community, to know that not a single Republican senator voted for the American Rescue Plan. Not a single Republican congressman voted for the American Rescue Plan. But it was these same Republicans that voted for a massive tax cut for large corporations and for wealthy individuals back in 2017 using the process of budget reconciliation. Pretty interesting how things tend to come full circle in life. Speaking of full circle, here's a tweet on your screen from Senator Michael Bennet from Colorado. He writes, I've been fighting to pass a child tax credit like the one found in this stimulus bill since 2015. Let's show you this image from Senator Bennet. And this essentially shows you the journey of the AFA, which is the American Family Act. And this shows you how long this senator has been fighting to create meaningful change, to create meaningful legislation for in our country in order to cut child poverty significantly. And that is something that the American Rescue Plan should indeed do. We should be celebrating at this moment in time. Speaking of celebrations, I want our viewers and subscribers to know that there is still a lot of work to be done. Here's a tweet on your screen from Jeff Stein over at the Washington Post. And Jeff writes, a new analysis of the Biden stimulus of the American Rescue Plan points out that poverty will fall by 42% for African American individuals, by 39% for Hispanic individuals, and by 34% for white individuals. Overall, the bill will lower poverty from just under 14% to just under 9%. This is a significant, almost 50% reduction in poverty in our country. And this is data provided by Columbia University and provided by the Urban Institute. I'll actually show you the reference from the Urban Institute in just a second. But first, let's take a look at another tweet on your screen, also from Jeff Stein from the Washington Post, from the Urban Institute. The $1,400 stimulus payments would produce the largest projected poverty reduction of major policies in the Biden administration. In other words, this is the most significant effort to cut down poverty in our country and to finally help those who need it the most, and hopefully give them the ability, the wherewithal to be able to escape the cycle of poverty. Here's the cycle of poverty on your screen, and it's very, very, very difficult to escape this cycle of poverty. It's very difficult to be able to afford high quality food, to be able to get the right kind of education, to be able to get the right opportunities, to have the right infrastructure, to be able to get out of the cycle of poverty and experience your full potential so that you can do a job that fits your skill level, maybe start a business, so that you can essentially achieve maximum productivity and essentially achieve your maximum economic potential. So in case you're wondering, how is it that this plan helps people get out of poverty? It's very simple. Let's go back to Jeff Stein's tweet on your screen. This is likely because stimulus checks reach deeply poor permanently outside the labor market, unlike the unemployment benefits. Now, folks, this is very significant. You need to be able to qualify for unemployment benefits. But what happens if you cannot qualify for unemployment benefits? You're so poor that you can't qualify for unemployment benefits because you never had a steady job. You simply were not able to qualify for unemployment benefits. That is when the $1,400 stimulus checks, which are going to go out to 85% of American households, that is when the $1,400 stimulus checks will make a massive difference, will make a life-altering impact for a majority of the American people who desperately need these checks. Let's go back to the cycle of poverty on your screen once again. It's very difficult to escape this cycle of poverty. If you get a bit of a break, if you get a little bit of help, you should be able to, instead of being dependent on the government, escape this cycle of poverty by achieving your full potential. Maybe you use the money to educate yourself. Maybe you use the money to do something as simple as paying your bills, putting food on the table, making rent. But this money should be able to give you an element of psychological freedom, not just and economic relief, but an element of psychological freedom, which should help you, hopefully, achieve your full potential. So what was Stein from the Washington Post referring to? He was referring to this article on your screen from the Urban Institute, 2021 Poverty Projections, assessing 4 American Rescue Plan policies. Now, the American Rescue Plan is a very big, complex plan, but this article goes into detail about 4 policies within the American Rescue Plan, and I'll provide you with a link to this article in the description section below. In fact, here's the PDF report of that particular study, and as we scroll down this entire report, I'll give you the bottom line. This American Rescue Plan is significantly going to cut poverty amongst adults in different demographics, and most importantly, it's going to help to cut down child poverty, because parents with children who are unable to take care of their children need the most amount of help, especially if they're in a dire financial situation, which is something that is going to be addressed in the American Rescue Plan. And again, as we see this Urban Institute report on your screen, we'll provide you with a link to this entire comprehensive report in the description section below. So make sure to check it out and dig deeper if you're interested. By the way, if you're a nerd like me, you're likely to be interested in reports like that. I'm a nerd. In fact, I'm the biggest nerd you'll ever meet. But I try and make these videos easy, simple, and easy to understand. And hopefully you appreciate the effort. If you do, please click the like button. Please subscribe. Please enable notifications. That would mean a great deal to me. Now, cutting child poverty is not the only thing that we need in our country. Health insurance is a major problem. On your screen, you'll see a tweet from Sarah Cliff, who's an investigations and health reporter for the New York Times. And Sarah reports that this individual ended up with well over $22,000 in medical bills. According to Sarah, this is America. Let's show you this article on your screen from the New York Times. A $22,368 bill that dodged and weaved to find a gap in America's health system. It's bad news for one unlucky individual who accidentally became uninsured for 1 month. And again, this is a sign of how dysfunctional our healthcare system is. We have a long way to go to improve healthcare in our country. The United States is the only country in the world that has thousands and thousands of payers. I don't know if you know this. You've probably heard of different payers like United Healthcare, Aetna, Cigna, Medicare, Blue Cross Blue Shield, and so on and so forth. All the workers' compensation payers. The United States is the only country in the world with thousands and thousands of payers. Most other countries have 1 or 2 payers. That's it. They have a public option and they have a private option. Our country has thousands and thousands of payers on the stock exchange that are designed to be for-profit companies that pay out huge returns as well as dividends to their stockholders. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something new. I really appreciate you. If you want to appreciate my effort, please click the like button, please subscribe, please enable notifications. That would mean a lot to me personally. We work very hard on this channel behind the scenes, and all I ask you to do is to take out 1 second of your time to gently tap that like button and to ignite the subscribe button and to ignite the notification button. I would really appreciate that. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Take care. Bye.